On Close-Up this morning, speaking of pressure, tonight's vice presidential debate. Dan Quayle has called the matchup with Texas Senator Lloyd Bentsen the biggest event of his political life, and no doubt for his closest advisor, too. And that would be his wife. Marilyn Quayle joins us this morning from the site of tonight's debate, the Civic Auditorium in Omaha. And before we get started, I might note that we invited B.A. Bentsen, Mrs. Bentsen, to come on as well, and she did decline. But good morning to you, and we're glad you're here.
Good morning, Jane.
Are you feeling the pressure?
Not really. We're rather excited about tonight. It's an opportunity for Dan to let the American people see him in a completely unedited version, and I think that's a very good thing.
It certainly would be unedited, but to see the descriptions of both campaigns rehearsing their men and the cramming books and so forth, are they going to be so coached that we won't get a chance to see them in any spontaneous way? Obviously,
I can't speak for Senator Bentsen, but Dan Quayle has been very well versed in the issues of the day for the last 12 years. He wasn't necessarily coached. It was more a reviewing of the fine points of national, international affairs that all people would have to brush up on if they're going to be put under the scrutiny that you would for the questions that are going to be given.
You are, and I don't use the phrase lightly, an advisor to your husband, in addition to being his wife and helpmate, so to speak. In his entire political career, he has enjoyed speaking off the cuff, and now the campaign has him speaking from a prepared text. Would that be your advice to, or not?
Being a United States Senator is a little bit different than the kind of scrutiny you get in a vice presidential race. I don't think when you're campaigning at home in Indiana or giving speeches at home, you don't have 45 press people traveling with you, waiting to put a 5-second bite on TV that is not necessarily germane to the entire topic of which you've been speaking. So given the parameters of the national campaign, it really is important that there never be a chance for even a slight misspeak, because it's always taken out of context.
The lead evidently is narrowing. Perhaps you heard John Palmer report this morning one of the newest polls has found the Republican lead, although they still have the lead narrowing, and it identifies the weak spot as Senator Dan Quayle. Is it a legitimate campaign issue whether or not the vice president is competent to be the president?
Obviously, one must look tonight at both candidates and see if both men are qualified. This isn't just a Dan Quayle issue. We have to look at Lloyd Bentsen also. He has not gone under any scrutiny since he was chosen. Dan Quayle has, and the scrutiny he's been given has proven that he is capable of being a heartbeat away from the president. I think tonight, with the two men together, we will definitely have the opportunity to judge the two men and decide if they both are qualified.
We know a great deal more about Dan Quayle than we did a few months ago. We still don't know all that much about Marilyn Quayle, and you strike many people as an extremely intelligent and a serious woman, good mother and so forth. You come from a very religious family. You grew up with the taped sermons of a Texas fundamentalist whose name is very new to me. I'm not familiar with Colonel Robert B. Thiem, Jr. Could you tell me a little about him? I take it he's a bit controversial in evangelical circles.
I have no idea whether he is or not. I have never met Colonel Thiem. Dan and I attend the McLean Presbyterian Church, and before that, the Fourth Presbyterian Church. Hardly the thing of controversy.
But it's my understanding that you grew up with your mother listening to his taped sermons in your house on a regular basis, and both your parents and your in-laws have attended intensive week-long seminars with Colonel Thiem.
Well, I attended Presbyterian churches until I was 16 years old. And actually, I believe until I was 18, until I went off to college. So I don't really understand the line of questioning. You know, in 1960, President Kennedy was dogged with questions about his religion. And I will paraphrase what he said, that the only important question to ask a presidential candidate or his family about their religious beliefs is whether or not they believe in the Constitution and in the First Amendment, separation of church and state. And if they believe in separation of church and state, then that's all the American people need to know. And if they believe in ruling the country under the guise of the Constitution, that's all they need to know. And I agree with President Kennedy.
I do too. But are the stories wrong? Your family has not been involved in Colonel Thiem's evangelism? They're wrong?
Are you, myself, my children, my children listen to tapes? Is that what you're asking?
Well, did you grow up with it? Is it right or wrong? If it's wrong, we'll put it on the tape.
I grew up with my mother listening to tapes in our home as I was growing up. Yes, I did.
Well, to that degree, they're accurate. All right.
Well, we listened to his, there seem to be two questions here. He interprets the Bible from the original Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, and we listened to those interpretations. I have never listened to him on social issues. I didn't even know he espoused any.
Nor have I. I didn't know he existed before I saw the stories. That's why I wanted to straighten it out. Well, Marilyn, thank you. You have a very long day ahead of you. We wish you the best.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this. This is Today on NBC.